continue. So we are all here. Well, 1 month ago, when Hugo was in the hospital, he was not at the critical stage and called me to ask me if I could give his presentation. I will do it to the best of my abilities. And of course, we would like him to recover soon, personally. Hugo is a great friend of mine, and I is one of the few people that taught me what globalization is. So we share. We took a course in 1995 in Japan, where the earthquake took place in Tokyo, and this we try to apply these learnings every day. So with no further ado, when we talk about the title of the meeting, I should say that besides he is our oracle, he's an advisor, he gave us the title. We thought that this meeting was going to be back to new normal, back to the new normal. And he wisely told me, no, this is not a new normal. It's just a transition towards a new reality. And the change is going to be permanent because this is how we will do it. The goal is the road. The road is not the goal, but the goal is the road. Well, so I just want to give you a brief introduction, as Moises said, or wisely said, because of the Protocol of Kyoto, the Accord of Paris. There's been a poor commitment of the great contaminant nations that are the great industrial powers that contaminate the most, and also Latin America with oil. So we are the ones that can be blamed of this. And there are many risks involved. But in the transition, he told me, whatever the government do is one thing, but we do not define this. We do not have the power of deciding on behalf of the government, of any government, not even in the world, but we have the capability of doing something in our personal life. So in our microcosmos, which is our company, our family, our friends, we can do a lot. And this, so far, if we do it, will have a boomerang effect with the ones that make the big decisions, the governments, the big businessmen. I just need to say, in order to start, the climate change is happening at the same time. And I'm going to separate this because it's kind of intertwined. We're talking about the pandemic on the 21st of January in the World Economic Forum, where Charles Schwab, the president, proposed what is called the Great Reset. In summary, I'm going to send you a link in the WhatsApp group of the World Economic Forum. We cannot show it because of the copyright, but it says when a system does not function, it is blocked, and what do we need to do? Is to reset, is to start all over again, to turn on the machine, reinstall the operating system, the software, and check if this is the proper software. So let's apply this to the world. So we're talking about designing the World Economic Order. Tomorrow we will have a talk about this with Caleb, our friend Caleb. redesigning of the social environment to reduce the social inequality and poverty. And we also talk about improving the climate situation in the world. Those are the three axles. It has the precursors. The precursors say is that we do not have other choice. We have to do it. The pandemic is part of this. It is called conspirational. But beyond the ideological and political theories, yes, the world requires a change. Probably it's not the way of doing it. If this was decided by someone else, it is not the right way, but if it's required to redesign the economic order, the social order, and the climatic order. But we will put this aside. I will send you a couple of videos about this, and then we will focus on what Hugo wanted to deliver us. Hopefully he will be talking in person soon. So let's continue. The projection of our oracle, which is Hugo Lopez, is how he sees the world in 30 years. I'm checking the time. So the world in 30 years, how do you see it? What is going to be the world in 30 years? As everything in life, there's two alternatives. The brilliant part, the shining side, the life aspect where everything is working harmonically, where the human being is integrated into nature and knows to coexist with nature. And the other one is the one that we are immersed in, which is that it's going on where we are not integrating ourselves with nature. Hugo will give us a lot of numbers that are really shocking and unfortunate, but those are real data. And we're not talking about politics. Hugo never talks about politics. This is more related to human beings in the world. And as you said, Hugo, there were two world wars with weapons. It's been said that the third World War is the Cold War, the financial war. We're living through the biological war, and the fifth war will be the one related to lack of water. Imagine a world without water. Without water, we cannot have life. So let's see the two paths, and each one of us, I urge you, everything that I said is on behalf of Hugo, because this is what he conveyed to me, but we will have to make a decision on which way we would like to take. Or we can raise awareness or prefer, or from the simplest to the most complex, from separating the garbage, and sometimes it's a drag, or to many things more. Okay, all of this is combined. See the salad we have. On one hand, we have the climate change. On the other hand, we have the fourth industrial revolution. We have also the entry of the artificial intelligence and pandemic. This is a cocktail, an explosive cocktail. And if we don't know how to handle it, it can exploit in our hands. So we need to prepare ourselves for automation. We think that we are prepared, but we are really not prepared. As he said, we have to act fast before the rest change. We shouldn't expect someone else to do it. We have to be the first. And then we have to be really aware of the opportunities. And I will add innovation word. This is the success of our acting. It's innovation. So Hugo is expressing the nirvana, the paradise, the human being adapted to the world. Where? What would be? There's some data that are really striking, but what's the ideal? That everything that the human being, now with everything that happened, we cannot say that men and women and change the gender, but the human being as a whole.
Everything that we take from nature has two options: useful end or recycling. That's the idea. Hugo, with figures, will demonstrate that out of 100% of resources that we get, minerals, metals, livestock, etc., we're only using a very small percentage. You will see that with figures. And then he uses the word that impacts or also affects the environment. And I'm also going to send this another video that recalls us how the world would be without the human being there. It is really impactful but useful to become aware. I'm going to send you these two videos because I think that these two would create awareness. Then this is the ideal word. I'm taking out something, I'm using it, and then I return it to the nature in a recyclable manner, or I reuse it. It sounds easy, but it's not happening. What happens is that I only use a small part and the rest is returned, but dirty, or you cannot reintegrate it to the nature. And therefore it becomes a pollutant. And then it warms the environment, and then temperature rises, water level increases, we have more hurricanes, tsunamis, earthquakes, everything. We are breaking the Earth's balance, and we're good for that. But we can also be good for the opposite, because we have the knowledge, technology, and reasoning for that. So it is important to make it a goal. Then Hugo speaks about circular economy. We start with raw materials, we take them, and here we have a new process which is not in place nowadays, named innovation. Not only raw materials and processes in a factory, otherwise there would be some issues and we cannot reintegrate to the nature. I need to use innovation in order to have a 100% efficiency in use, or at least get closer. Then we're going to distribute, we're going to consume, reutilize, and repair. A lot of the secret is right here. We say many things, just dump it. And look, and I'm going to give you an example with more details. Clothes, textiles, they are really bad pollutants, and it is highly polluting. So there is a trend, there are some groups that reuse clothes with a good washing and repair process. It's not something which is going to be rags, it's going to be in good state. So this is one of the examples. Glasses, many things that we are just dumping, and they end up polluting our environment. And at the end, we have the cause and effect law, and it will bounce back to us. And there's also a recollection process of those things that are seemingly useless, but we need to recycle. If I have a car 50 years old, well, you can recycle everything. Tires, engine, body, seats, everything. A lot of things can be repaired and some others recycled. Remember, the innovation process is important. In this change, we use polluting processes. Hotels, for example, that pollute the beach, that attracts the tourists that come to that hotel, and then they just dump their residues there. With Hugo's philosophy, all of us are responsible of our byproducts. It is not that you just dump it. You are dumping it to the environment. And this is coming to a place, and someone has to do something with that. But if we become responsible, each of us, of everything, all the dirt that we dump, useless things, rotten things, let's call them dirty, obviously we're going to contribute to damage our environment. In Portuguese, here we have some slides. He's really a wise man. But it is the same. What it says is that we need to reutilize many things. We need to recycle, reduce processes, use, and see the final destination. Each thing that we use. What do we use every day? Clothes, cars, computers, food, everything. So, all the instruments to cook, all these indicates that we are responsible. We have thought that we are not, and that's not true. Each one of us is responsible. We blame the government, but the truth is that we are the ones that should act. So this is really impactful. It looks too small, so I'm going to have to read this. And I'm going to summarize. It deals with natural resources extraction. And it indicates that input of economy, and all this data is from 2015. We have 84,000 million tons of garbage, 38,000 millions in mining. That's sand and sandstone. Then metal minerals. Then we have oil, gas in 16,000 millions. Then coal or energy extraction, and 28,000 millions of biomass. Everything related to wood, animals, fibers, livestock, etc. Crops as well. So this is what we extract, 84,000 millions, and we reuse 8,000. So here's the big issue, because we're only using 10% when we are wasting, according to what it says, 75%. At the top we can see we transform 93,000 million tons, and less than a quarter is transformed into building, vehicles, or long-time items. So it's 20,000 million tons. 10% returns to the economy, and the rest, as it says, goes to the dump. Obviously, it is explaining that we have minerals from sand, sandstone, and then we have construction, metal products, machinery, gas for transportation, gas factories, so on. distribution, commerce, trade, agriculture, and then we produce wood, food, etc. The problem is that most of these items are dumped. And who cleans that? No one. The government will not be able. They cannot handle all this garbage or trash that we generate. What would be the idea or the goal? Not to extract more from nature. If we already took it out, we need to reprocess. If we can reprocess, then if we could reprocess these 60,000 million tons, we would only have to extract 30 instead of 80,000 millions, right? And nature is not getting into unbalance as it is right now. We're breaking the balance, and we see this through polluted rivers, air. There are some countries that already used mouth masks. This became popular with pandemics. There were some moments in Mexico that we had to use it, also in China. And this is not due to pandemic, but due to high pollution. And certainly in many other countries behind the Iron Curtain. So the message is something here. We don't want to blame church. Hugo message that I want to take as it was given is that it is our responsibility. I cannot even say it was my cousin, my wife, my son, my mother, my father. It's me. Each one of us is responsible. And then, as it turns out, children preach on parents for pollution. But this goes beyond of dumping a banana peel from your car. It means much more. We still have half an hour now. So, in percentages, this is an excellent presentation. 40% of our resources go to construction, and they just generate 20%. So half of it is wasted. In mining, 10%, fuel, the 16%, biomass, 28%, and we reuse 8%. As you can see, the problem is clear. We extract 100, consume 30, and waste 70. We're accountants, we're lawyers, advisors. We know about figures. It is an inefficient process and thus expensive, and that's why we have high prices. Sometimes I wonder why a product is very expensive in one place and very cheap in another, and that's the reason. Inefficiency. We're paying for that inefficiency. The price we pay for a product after seeing this, half of the price is lack of efficiency. So it is not only pollution, but it is also a problem of a very expensive economy that generates inequality, poverty. And yes, of course, if everything is expensive, there's going to be more poverty, extreme poverty, and higher inequality. We need to become aware. It's good. This is not policy, this is not religion. It's individual awareness from the deep of your soul. This is an example. As it is said, yes, it is possible. We actually can do it. This is Copenhagen, because it is in Copenhagen, Denmark. This Danish Burn converts 48,000 tons of trash per year to provide enough energy to give power to 30,000 households. This plant has also recreational functions, a ski track, a track with trees, and also a wall, a rock wall 85 meters high. So the important thing is not to have waste. We shouldn't be having waste. We should be so efficient to process only what we're going to use. This is when they say, why you're serving a lot of food on your plate if you're going to use or eat only half of it? It's the same with resources. Why you are extracting that much if you're going to waste more than half of it? So this is the crossroad. What shall we do? And like French say, laissez-faire. Is that correct? We'll let it be? Is that the destiny, fate, apocalypse? Nothing to be done, just enjoy the ride? Or shall we do something? What do you say? Shall we act or not? I believe that to the extent of our life, family history, friends, there's no question. We need to act. Otherwise, it would be just driving to collapse. And it would be one of the races, just as dinosaurs or mammoths that they want to now revive. That would be us, an extinct species, without any distinction about intelligence. This intelligence is not patent. If we were truly so intelligent, this is the moment to show it right now. In the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of a social and financial crisis, facing adversity, that's when we need to act. We're being forced to act. This is a very old quote and very interesting. We need to think globally and act locally. We cannot say the government shall do this, they must do that. No, let's act locally. And it is not even my city or municipality, it is my person. How I act as a person. And that's the direction from bottom to top. If we do it like that, we will push the chain upwards. And everybody, tomorrow, if we stopped using a car, with some exceptions, of course, due to disabilities, and we use a bicycle or we walk, that's an impressive step. And if no one buys fuel, there's no need to manufacture it or produce it. We're making a product expensive due to our own fault. Obviously, there are special cases, food distribution, long distances, etc. But sometimes we use a car for 3 blocks. It's useless. This is one example out of 1,000. The pandemic has forced us to stop. It already did it. That many companies, I was on Saturday sending packages to all our members all over the world, and DHL told me, DHL, half personnel work at home. That's home office, permanently, not temporary. We're going to work from home. Good. So this is happening in many companies. In fact, I was talking to you and I was reading how a Chinese company, Lenovo, a lot of people worked at home, like IBM, were mothers working at home. So I believe that the pandemic is just speeding up something that was obvious. With the current technology, it is unlogical that a person loses between 4 to 5 hours going work. That's really nonsense, when there is technology that can resolve that. Of course, there are some positions that need in-person activities, but many not. And we're talking about just one example out of 1,000 of them. Let's continue. I don't want to be having the gong so early. Initial measures. We're seeing our environment. That's a microcosmos. We were thought that one, harnessing of rainstorm. We need to treat it. If I have a rainstorm falling on my home, we need to install a system. And you might think it's complicated, but if you are at a country home, it's just a gutter and you can filter it, and that water can be reused. The many uses: watering, shower, WC, cleaning, and this is where we spend a lot of water with these uses. Number two, this is the example of what I was saying. Here we have an example of it. Rainstorm, we have 4 months of that. So all this water can be collected, stored at a water tank, then a smaller water tank, and be reused. They also say we should have 2 systems. One is drinking water and another one is treated water for WC, watering, etc. Then sun heaters. A lot of us do that. This is really a wonder. I can tell you that the gas bill drops, and this is even due to economy. Probably you invest $500, but then your bill, your monthly bill, goes to half of it. You have an electric stove and that's it. Another important thing, Hugo is really a mathematician. That's his specialty. And it says that a gas flame produces 2,000 degrees. Body temperature is 36. And shower water at 40 degrees feels warm. So why shall I heat that much if I am only going to use 2% of this energy? Only 2%. Out of 100 pesos, we burn 98 polluting, and we just take advantage of 2. Food boils at 100 degrees, and we only take advantage of 5%. We spend in unnecessary materials. This is the energy percentage and energy harnessing ratio. This is the example. We know this example. I have one. Those of us that live in buildings, it's more complicated, but of course you can do that. There are some of them that are really powerful and can be used by several. Number 3, sun and electric energy generation has to become cheaper. It is still expensive. Photovoltaic cells are still expensive, but there are some private companies with plans, and you can get it financed with the consumption. We still pay for the same in electric power, but the truth is that the power company at each country, this is one all over the world, and you pay less, and with the difference, you are getting finance. After 3 or 4 months, you pay for the equipment, and then the consumption drops to the minimum. It is also going to be useful for electric cars. Remember that there is a promise that in 2030 there would be no fuel cars, at least our northern neighbor, and many other countries in Europe have that commitment. So then oil would be only for industrial use, but not for mobility. Number 4, biodegradable product use. The same, we're using water, soaps, sunscreens, detergent, and a lot of toiletries. Even if it is difficult, we have biodegradable products. At home, I have a store of green products. It's good to reintegrate everything to the environment. When we use something which is not integrated, we harm the environment. And it is really sad to have our rivers damaged. A lot of water is salty water, and it is very expensive to desalt. But if we take care of rivers, we're going to have life, and that's where life is created. And then the PHEV cars, hybrid cars. So I can use the hybrid on road and electric in the city. Well, okay, just as sun cells, the thing is volume. We're paying for excessive products, for elite products, but if this becomes mass, then we are going to have lower prices. It is a matter of time. Remember, there were times that we didn't have cell phones, and now babies are almost born with cell phones in their hands. And it is not a matter of social class or economy. Everybody has a cell phone right now. We want to happen this also with these products. There are some radical measures. We're talking about the simple ones. And now let's turn to the radical measures. So definitely electrical cars. There have been some initiatives, United States, Japan, Europe. They have not yet agreed with the Paris Agreement on the percentage of electric cars. That's too low. So right now, the oil business is still ruling, but it will destruct itself. It is really having its own grave. I didn't write this. This is science. Livestock generates a third part of greenhouse gases. And also we deforest our lands to produce food. We're not saying that you become vegetarian, but it is proven with the research of Hugo also. Big investors are investing in new companies. One of them is called Impossible Meat, and they're saying it's lab-produced meat or from vegetal origin. That's the big trend right now. They have realized that if everybody consumes this, then we're going to deplete our woodlands. This would cause more global warming, more hurricanes, tsunamis, and earthquakes. So this is a very personal decision, but it says radical, but it has not to be radical.
Like 100 kilogram. Instead of eating 100 kilograms of meat, well, we can eat 1 kilogram. I don't know. And when we reduce it, the production reduces. GHG also are reduced. We have more room for forests so they can continue flourishing. So this is so simple that not to use one-use plastic products. So please buy the water bottle and use a purifier that we used to use when we were small, but there's no need to buy more bottles. Buy a straw and you can wash it after using it. Also, everything that comes to plates and bowls and everything, well, don't buy disposable ones. So in Mexico and in other countries, also the Cañón del Sumidero, you go to that because you are in the boat and you see clean water, but after 10 meters deep, it is full of PET bottles, garbage, whatever you can find there. Also soaps, sun blockers, cosmetics, and we cannot fix it anymore. It's terrible, and we are ending up with everything. We always go back to the original question. We have to do something. Well, work at home. Now we have to work at home. This is not because we want to do it. And it's got like good things. And the romanticism that we speak of, like to go back to the new normal, this we won't go back in the same way. If we do the same things, we will obtain the same things. If we will commit the same mistakes, it is like the donkey that tripped over the same stone, but the human beings tripped with several stones during his life. If we can do home office, and we need to see our work colleagues, but how much time do we need? Once a week, once in a month, because we do all the work. If we have a meeting, we can use Teams, Webex, Zoom, Google Meet. Well, we have a lot of tools, free tools, where we can do the meetings. But if we need to discuss a very important topic, okay, so we will have an in-person meeting with safe distance. You know how much do you save in terms of time? Because the time is the only thing that do not comes back. Like money, energy consumption, accidents, and many things more. So even if we are micro companies, in this micro world, you have like 6 people, so they can work from home. If we will meet once a month, that's okay, with no problem. I'll give you the example. I go to the firm, and we have seen each other, well, in this meeting, because we cannot organize this global meeting from home. At some point in time, we will be able to do it. It's not yet there, but I think we will do it. This is when we finish the conceptual part of the presentation. But in the spiritual part of the presentation, Judith is going to do it, to give us like a review of Hugo's comment. Okay. This is the reading of the Gossip according to St. Lucas, chapter 17, versicle 5 to 10. Back then, the apostles told the Lord, "Increase our faith." The Lord said, "If you had faith like a grain of mustard, you would say to this flourished tree, 'Turn yourself from the root and plant yourself in the sea.'" This is another reading of the Saint Gospel according to St. Luke 17, 5 to 10. Who among you, if you have a servant plowing or the soiled, and when he comes back from the field, you will see it, "Come and sit with us." You wouldn't tell him, "Prepare my dinner and then serve me while I drink." What would you do? This is another reading according to St. Lucas 17:5 to 8. Do you have to be grateful to the servant because he had done what it was instructed to? The same thing. Everything that what you have been instructed, please say, "We are useless servants. We have done what we had to do." So, conclusion, this was in the firm. We are not politicians nor religious, but we accept all the good desires, and we have to take this into account regardless of the religious beliefs. In conclusion, the surfaces that have contact with the sun will increase their value because they have potential to produce energy. It's like before you rent a space for a billboard. Probably this space will be rented to create energy, and the person that rents it will participate in the earnings. It is essential to change our consumption habits in terms of food, cleaning, products, circular economy. Please remember this concept. This is the message from Hugo, is to be responsible and to have a circular economy. And with this, we will have a circular economy, or we will make steps to get closer to a circular economy. On behalf of Ego Lopez Araiza, a great friend, advisor of our friend, hoping that he will get better. His wife told me yesterday that he's stable and probably he will be waken up. So this is a sign that he has recovered in a 20 or 30%. He's sedated, of course, with a tracheostomy, but hopefully he will be waken up and his oxygen will keep increasing. We miss you. And thank you all for hearing to us, and on behalf of Hugo, join this goal. This is the one that will give us sustainability. Thank you.